Did you know right before XXXTentacion passed away, he posted on Instagram saying if anyone tried to get him, it would be Champagne Papiaka Drake. He even said, "I'm snitching right now." And years later, one of the lawyers in X's trial went as far as to claim that Drake was actually responsible.
And do you think that for one moment, here today, days after the event, two masked men, right? He came on social media and said, "Guys, if anybody is Drake," do you think in that time span that they went and they addressed him and talked to him? No. Do you think sitting here today, years later, any detective has ever asked, Drake or anybody like that? No, they never did that. So you ask yourself, how could that be? And you say, hey, it's so-and-so, you better believe so-and-so is gonna get investigated. But in this case, they didn't do it. They didn't do it because it didn't comport with their version and their narrative. And as law enforcement, I think that they have the obligation to do so.
Then about 6 months after X's passing, a viral TV program about religious camps showed someone who looked exactly like him. These camps had no internet, no phones, and no so people started believing X was still alive and hiding there. But here's the truth. On June 18th, 2018, X started his day by getting into his BMW i8 and driving to Riva Motorsports, a huge store for motorcycles, boats, and off-road vehicles. While browsing, he found a bike he liked, and the manager told him they offered cash deals for a discount after. Leaving, the shop trial evidence later revealed that X called his mom telling her he was about to buy a new motorcycle. His mom advised him to pick up his uncle so someone could drive the i8 back home safely. X did just they've picked up his uncle, and the two went straight to Bank of America to withdraw cash for the bike. Security footage even caught X walking into the bank that day.
During your encounter with Mr. Envoy during this time, what was his demeanor like? Fun. Anything that.
At X's trial, a bank teller testified that X had requested to withdraw $250,000 in cash, but she denied it because the bank's policy only allowed up to $50,000. Without a cash order, instead she gave him the $50,000 on the spot and scheduled the rest for a later date. What X didn't realize was that 4 Michael Boatwright, Dedrick Williams, Trayvon Newsom, and Robert Allen were sitting in the parking lot watching his BMW i8, according to Robert Allen, who later cooperated with prosecutors. They were already planning to commit a robbery that day. X's flashy car parking right beside them was the perfect opportunity. Once they realized who it was, they decided to follow him. Their targets were clear: X's diamond chain and whatever was inside the Louis Vuitton bag he had carried into the bank when X returned to Riva Motorsports with his uncle. The 4 suspects parked their van across the street. 2 of them got out, walked into the store, and kept their eyes locked on X from a distance. The other 2 stayed back, making sure his car wouldn't leave. Shockingly, surveillance footage later revealed that the men even bought the ski masks and gloves they used in the robbery right inside the same store as X at one point. X even made direct eye contact with one of them, something caught on camera. Meanwhile, X and his uncle continued looking at motorcycles, but since he couldn't get the full cash amount, he decided not to buy one. That meant the entire $50,000 was still in the Louis Vuitton bag, same money the robbers would later flaunt on Instagram. Sadly, this would become the tragic mistake that cost XXXTentacion his life. After returning to his BMW, X sat parked for about 7 minutes. Court evidence showed that during this time he was on his iPhone scrolling through Instagram and Twitter. But those 7 minutes gave the robbers all the time they needed. The 2 men who had been inside Riva Motorsports slipped out, sprinted across the street, and regrouped with the getaway van when X finally pulled out of his parking spot and began driving toward the one-way exit. A dark SUV cut him off, blocking his path. Suddenly, 2 masked men jumped out on each side of his car, pointing firearms and demanding he hand over the Louis Vuitton bag full of cash. X refused. Tension exploded. His uncle, sitting in the passenger seat, panicked. He threw open his door and sprinted back toward Riva, leaving X alone in the car. With the passenger door wide open, the gunmen had a clear path to him. A brief struggle broke out through X's driver's side window while the other robbers circled around and moved in through the open passenger side. That's when the fatal shots were fired. The men grabbed the Louis Vuitton bag stuffed with $50,000 in cash, ran back to their van, and sped away. During Trial prosecutors revealed the breakdown. Dedrick Williams was driving the vehicle. Michael Boatwright and Trayvon Newsom wore the ski masks and carried the guns, while Robert Allen, who later flipped and took a plea deal, admitted he was the lookout. It was Robert Allen's testimony that gave the court the chilling step-by-step truth of how the murder unfolded. By turning against the other three, Robert Allen revealed exactly how the stolen $5,000 was split. Boatwright, Williams, and Newsom each walked away with $15,000, while Allen, despite being part of it, was given just $5,000, ironically, the man who received. Smallest cut ended up being the one who told the jury everything. Prosecutors also showed photos taken just hours after the murder with Michael. Boatwright seen flashing stacks of cash. Allen confirmed to the court, "That's X's money." The images were chilling. These men thought they were flexing, showing off a few $1,000s when in reality, they had just taken a life. As some people pointed out, they could have made that same money working a regular job, but instead they chose this path. Even worse, Allen shared what XXXTentacion's last words were. After the shots were fired and the suspects jumped back into the getaway van, X's final moments were filled with confusion. According to testimony, as also echoed by DJ Academic, X said, "What is this for?" He didn't even understand why it was happening. Everything unfolded in seconds, quick, brutal, and senseless. Witnesses nearby snapped photos and videos, which spread online almost instantly. Within minutes, the world knew. The news of X's passing shook social media, with rappers everywhere. Morning Juice World, who had spoken to X many times, shared his own emotional tribute, remembering their conversations and the impact X had left behind.
We had a couple deep conversations, talked on the phone a few times. He had nothing but positive stuff to say. For real, for real. We had respect for each other at the end of the day. And that's what was gonna kind of lead into a friendship. He just said, make sure it's keep all negative people out of your life. And just make sure that you have good energy around you, pretty much.
He'd also hop on a radio station interview where he would share this about the creation of his song titled Legends, which honors late rappers X and Lil Peep.
That Legends record, it speaks because you dropped it right after, X.
I made the same night he passed away.
Wow. Talk about that.
Yeah, what was their relationship like?
We weren't the best of friends. We had a couple deep conversations though. Yeah, nothing but good advice to give.
X's music was so big that in 2024 we still had big legends like 50 Cent claim that X would have been the biggest artist in the entire industry if he didn't pass away. It's
sad because he's young, kid. He's just really getting off into his career, really. In a lot of places he had a #1 album, but they wouldn't cover it because of his legal issues. When you see Spotify switch.
To which Ski Mask, the slump god, would even bring up their upbringing together and share what he meant to him.
I met X in juvenile jail. Both was in juvenile jail spending time. Then we just was like, yeah, we need an outlet to just stop getting in trouble. All we like to do is hit licks and do hood friends. Long story short, so it's just all right, we need to find something to do. So we was in there just beating on the tables, because all you can really do is sit there and stare at each other. So we sitting there beating on the chairs and stuff, and then we just figured out each other could rap, and then we just helped each other.
He would then also reveal never-known information and how they originally produced their unique, distorted type of music. Just like their collaboration song, Take a Step Back.
X recorded my first song. He ordered the stuff off of eBay. It was a snowball mic. It was the cheapest mic you could get. It set on 3 prongs or 4 prongs, one of those. And it was just a basic Audacity and a laptop. But that's how we got distorted music.
With other famous rappers sharing their loving memories of XXXTentacion.
I was going to Miami to do several shows, and I performed in Orlando, and then I performed in Miami with X. Ever since I had met bro, we had just became super cool friends. And now that's my best friend, I could say.